Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Leadership Trail Mix. I am Miguel Oliveira, and for the next few minutes we'll be together looking at one of the main ingredients that compose this art and science we call people leadership. Today's reflection combines the message of a song with a lesson from a Brazilian philosopher. So, since I mentioned him, let's start there. Mario Sergio Cortella is probably the most famous philosopher in Brazil. He's the author of books like Qual é a tua obra, which means something like What is your life's work? And Por que fazemos o que fazemos, which means Why do we do what we do? On a recent LinkedIn post, Cortella shared a cartoon of himself talking to a guy, and the dialogue went more or less like this. Cortella bumps into a guy and says, "Hey, it's been a while. How are things at work?" The guy responds, kind of meh. But I already built roots there, right? Cortella then responds, well, based on what you're saying, you built anchors, not roots. Roots feed you. Anchors immobilize you. Let's sit with that for a minute. Roots feed you. Anchors immobilize you. When I look back at my life, I can't even start to think how many times I have confused anchors for roots. A place, a job, a friendship, you name it. And funny enough, the opposite is also true. I've called things an anchor, but in fact, they were roots. The best example I can think of is my family. I've referred to them as an anchor before, something that keeps me grounded. But in reality, they are and will always be roots. My professional choice is also another good example, actually. When I chose to be a psychologist back in Brazil, I didn't exactly know what I was stepping into, but I fell in love with it. I mean, it really feels like it was meant to be. I love the work I do so much. So much so that it almost became an anchor when I lost balance and found myself trapped in workaholism. So, let's keep this concept in mind. Anchors, roots. Now that you know Cortella, let me talk about the song. It's a song from Wicked for Good. Yes, I know, shocker. A song sung by Ariana Grande as Glinda. And here I'm going to quote part of the song, and I would like us to think about our professional choices while we listen to it. And also about anchors and roots. The song says, and here I quote, "I couldn't be happier. No, I couldn't be happier. Though it is, I admit, the tiniest bit unlike I anticipated. But I couldn't be happier. Simply couldn't be happier." Well, not simply, because getting your dreams, it's strange, but it seems a little, complicated. There is a kind of a sort of cost. There is a couple of things get lost. There are bridges you cross. You didn't know you crossed until you've crossed. And if that joy, the thrill, doesn't thrill like you think you will, still, with this perfect finale, the cheers and the ballyhoo, who wouldn't be happier? So I couldn't be happier, because happy is what happens when all your dreams come true. End quote. Let's take a deep breath. Well, I need it for sure. Out of all of these lines, the one that hits me the hardest is, there are bridges you cross you didn't know you crossed until you've crossed. Connecting these words to the concept of roots and anchors, what I hear Glinda sing is that her dreams came true and she thought they would be roots, but they proved themselves to be anchors instead. Can you imagine the frustration? Dreaming of getting somewhere, and once you get there, you realize it does not match what you were expecting. And if that happens, what do you do? Do you anchor yourself in that place anyway, or you look for roots somewhere else? When it comes to work, or the company you work for, do you anchor yourself there, or look for roots in another place? Look, I get it. Many times we make choices with the best information we have at the time we make them. That's just part of being human, right? I mean, unless you have a crystal ball. And in that case, please send me an email. Miguel at leadershiptrailmix.com. We need to talk. Jokes aside, I'm also not trying to convince you that work will be all roses, champagne, fireworks. But can you imagine how much better life could be if you were working on something that feeds your soul instead of sucking the energy out of it? Friends, I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, I need to work, okay? I have bills to pay, a family to support, and I know I'm very fortunate to work with something that I love. And if you've made the choice to have your job be your anchor, even if you don't like it, and find your roots doing something else, that's fine, okay? As long as you can tell me that you know you have the option to do something different, and for whatever reason, you're choosing not to. But if you are anchored somewhere because you don't think there is another option, I want to invite you to challenge that thought because it is a limiting belief. You may not be able to make a change now, but change is an option. No matter if you need a new or parallel career to move to a different company or whatever situation you're finding yourself anchored to. You deserve to have roots, even if you don't think you do. We all deserve to have roots. So, my fellow people leaders, this message is for you, but not only for you. At the end of the day, this podcast is meant to help us identify actions that can make us better people leaders for those we have the honor to lead. In the context of this episode, that looks like getting to know the people we lead. In the context of this episode, that looks like getting to know the people you lead and help them see if they are anchored when they should actually be rooted. Doing this self-work is hard, requires so much willpower, and when it comes to helping someone else get there, it is even harder. We are all suffering. We all have traumas, both personal and professional traumas. We all have narratives in our heads that tell us we can't, we shouldn't, we wouldn't. Throughout my almost 20 years in HR, I've seen so many people responding to can't, shouldn't, and wouldn't with the desire to prove the world wrong, instead of trying to do what was right for them. And they paid or are still paying the price for it. Maybe the highest price being the resentment they have towards themselves and those who played a role in blocking their progress towards fulfillment. I hate to add another concept this late in the episode, but I feel like I can't keep going without quoting Mel Robinson. When people think things about you, let them. Control what you can control, and help the people you lead do the same. All of that begs a good level of self-awareness and clarity on what matters to us. But all the work is worth it. So, what do you say? Anchor or root? Any bridges you crossed you didn't know you crossed until you've crossed, but now that you did, you realize that's not what you were looking for, so you may need to find another bridge? Maybe one that you will know you're crossing? The call to action today is simple. Share the concept of anchor and root with someone, from your team or otherwise. Maybe a friend or your spouse needs to hear it, I don't know. And while sharing will hopefully impact more people, if you don't want to do it for others, do it for yourself. There is no better way to learn than teaching. Thank you for listening. Take care and talk soon.